Hi everyone, so in this video we're going to be talking about the terms connotation and denotation. Those words are important to know sometimes in order to be able to understand why a poet might choose certain words and why you might choose certain words. It's something that we understand on some level, but until we put words to it, we may not understand completely how it operates. So let's go through and see how it does work. So denotation, as I say here, denotation is the strict dictionary meaning of a word. And so it's what you mean if you look something up in the dictionary, it's what it is. Whereas connotation, it's also a meaning. Both of these are meanings, but connotation is the emotional and imaginative associations surrounding a word. So denotation means dictionary. Remember that D. So as you can remember which one is which, it's the one you get from the dictionary. It's what something strictly means when you look it up in the dictionary. Connotation are kind of the ideas, emotions, things that we think about when we think about that word. So let's see how that operates specifically. So denotation, which is the dictionary meaning, I say here, if you look up the word snake in the dictionary, it might say any of a numerous scaly, legless, sometimes venomous reptiles, having a long tapering cylindrical body and found in most tropical and temperate regions. That's what a snake is, right? If you're looking for a snake, if you're coming from another planet and you have heard about these things called snakes, what is it you're looking for? Well, it is a scaly, legless, sometimes a venomous reptile. Okay, that's what a snake is. And so if you want to find one, that's what you're looking for. However, when we think about the connotations down here, the emotional and imaginative meaning, that's not really what a snake means to us. When somebody talks about a snake, we might have a certain reaction to that that doesn't have anything to do with this, because our reaction might be based on evil, feeling like snakes are evil, feeling like they're dangerous. That's a big one, right? People are very much afraid of snakes, right? Evil, those meanings might be evil, danger, or untrustworthy, right? Dangerous or untrustworthy. And so the snake suggests some of those kinds of things. And those are the connotations. Those are other meanings of snake. And so if I compare somebody to a snake, if I say that guy's a snake, right, I'm saying maybe he's untrustworthy, right? Maybe he's dangerous. Maybe he's evil. Maybe he's all three of those things, right? And so when I make that comparison, I'm not saying, oh, that guy Bill is a snake. I'm not saying, well, did you know that Bill really is actually a scaly, legless creature who might be venomous? That's not what I'm saying there. He's not actually this kind of a reptile. He has these qualities that we associate with snakes, right? He has the connotations of a snake. And that's important because a lot of times when we're using metaphorical language, a lot of times when we're making that comparison, that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. And so if we look back at what we saw in the Latin Deli, when she is going to be using all of that language that is related to the church, it's not necessarily because people go to the Latin Deli to worship, right? It's actually they're running a church in the back there. That's not what's going on. But she's saying it has the same importance of church. People treat it in a similar fashion because it nourishes them spiritually, potentially, right? Just like church might nourish you spiritually, this deli might nourish you spiritually. And so it's relying on some of the ideas associated with church. So keep that in mind. Denotation is going to be the dictionary meaning, what something actually is, whereas connotation are going to be the ideas associated with something. Let's look at something else I have here. So let's look at this sentence. It says, boys will be boys, right? It's an interesting sentence because boys will be boys. Of course, boys will be boys. What else would they be? We don't say tables will be tables, phones will be phones, right? Trees will be trees. Of course they will be, right? Things are what they are. It doesn't make any sense to have a sentence that tells us that something is what it is. So it's kind of a strange sentence if we on one level. But if we think about it more carefully, it actually does make sense. So let's think about it this way. Boys. What is the denotation of boys? What is the dictionary definition of boys? Usually when I do this in class, I'll ask students, and you guys will tell me. I'll, of course, have to just type this out here. And I'll say that a boy is a young male sometimes students will stop there and I'll say young male. Young male bear is a boy. A young male aardvark is a boy. No, no, no. It's a young male human, right? A young male human. That's what you're looking for. Just like if you're going looking for a snake, you're looking for a scaly, legless reptile. If you're looking for a boy, you're looking for a young male human. That's what they are, right? So young male humans will be, well, let's think. How do young male humans behave? What are some of the connotations that we have associated with boys, right? We might say that boys are, again, if we're in class, I'd ask you to do this, but we could say that boys might be messy, right? They might be rough, right? They like to play roughly. Sometimes you might say they're irresponsible, right? We might say that they're immature, right? All of those kinds of things. And so when we use this sentence, boys will be boys, we use it when we see boys behaving in certain ways. There was a time I came home one time and my son and his friend had taken sugar and put it on top of the ceiling fan and then turned the ceiling fan on to let sugar spray all over the house, right? Um, uh, that's the kind of things we expect from, at the time, 11-year-old boys to do, right? They might get into that kind of a trouble, right? They're being messy, they're being irresponsible, they're being immature, those kinds of things, right? And so boys will be boys, they will put sugar on top of the ceiling fan, right? Young male humans will be messy, irresponsible, and immature, right? We expect them to behave in that way. And so what happens is this sentence, we said it doesn't make sense on one level because, of course, boys will be boys. But on another level, it makes perfect sense because what you're saying is young male humans, the denotation of the word, young male humans will behave like the connotations of the word. So what makes this word make sense, what makes this sentence make sense, is the fact that it uses both the denotations and the connotations. The first instance of boys is about the denotations. The second one's about the connotations. Young male humans will be messy. Young male humans will be rough. Young male humans will be irresponsible, right? All of those kinds of things. So that sentence can help illustrate the difference between those two. Okay, um, and so we can see that happening. Let's scroll down. This one may get a little more controversial here. We can use a sentence here like "fight like a girl," right? You fight like a girl. Um, and on some level, what we mean from that is let's think about the denotation of the word girl. What are the denotations of the word girl? Well, denotation, if the denotation of boy is young male human, the denotation of girl is young female human, right? That's what we're looking for if we're looking for a girl. So you fight like a young female human. What do we mean by that, really? What we really mean is what are the connotations associated with girls? Oftentimes we might say this. Now, I don't agree that this is true in the actual world, but the connotations are here. So we can say things like girls might be seen as weak. Okay, and so when we are going to be talking of, if we use a phrase like this, what we're saying on some level is that we're relying on the fact that we understand how girls are supposed to behave. We recognize that, well, we know how girls are. Girls are weak, right? And so the connotation becomes rather important here. It becomes rather tied into girls. Now, again, I don't believe that this is true in the real world. I used to work in a restaurant with a woman who did the shot put, which is like an 8-pound piece of iron that people throw. Maybe it's more than 8 pounds. I don't know how much it is, but they throw it. So strong woman, and she would pick up the beer kegs. None of the guys who worked there could pick up the beer kegs, and she would just walk around with the beer kegs all the time. I never would have called her weak, and she might have hurt me. And so it's not that I necessarily believe that, but you can see how in our language it oftentimes has those connotations, right? We see girls as being weak. Just like we could have put in here for connotations for boys, boys might be seen as being strong and bold. We might say those kind of things about boys. Not all boys are strong and bold, By the way, not all boys are irresponsible, immature, or messy, right? Those are just ideas that we have that are associated with that word. They don't have to be that way, but again, that's something that we have in the language, and it's important to recognize because what it means is that whenever we use certain words, we have to be aware of the fact that sometimes certain connotations come along with them. That's why some young women do not like to be called girls, right? Somebody who's 20 says, "Don't call me a girl because a girl," and I'm not weak. And so don't use that word that suggests that I'm. Move on to another sentence here. It says girls kick ass. This is a bumper sticker I used to see way back when, back in the 90s. And young women would have this on their car. And we might think about, well, girls kick ass. Again, what is a girl? It is a young female human. Same thing. But can the connotations, if we say girls kick ass, can we say that they're weak? Right? That might be the first thing that we say, as we said before, is that we might have connotations of weakness. But that doesn't make sense here, right? Weakness doesn't work if we're going to say that they kick ass. If you kick ass, almost by definition, you can't be weak, right? And so this is really saying that the connotations here are that girls, in fact, are going to be strong. One of the reasons why a young woman might put this on her bumper sticker, put this bumper sticker on her car, is that she is saying, I want to be thought of, I'm a girl, but I want to be thought of as being strong. I'm not that weak girl, right, that you go around beating up on the playground. I'm a strong girl, right? And so saying girls kick ass is a way of kind of saying here's a different connotation for that word. Okay, we can ask too. I noticed that I said young women, right? We can say here's young women put that on their card, and it's hard whenever we use that language. It's hard to use one that doesn't have certain connotations to it because why won't we say well if these girls, these young women think that girls makes them sound weak, why don't they just call themselves young women? Okay. Well, women has its own connotations, right? That is, women seem like they're older, right? Man, that seems like my mother, right? On the weekend, as my mother do, she gets on the couch with some tea and watches TV and falls asleep at 10:30. That's what those women do, right? I'm a girl. I like to go out. I have fun, right? And so I don't want to be a woman because I don't want to be seen as being old, but I don't want to have those negative connotations of girl. So I'm going to put this bumper sticker on my car that's going to say girls can in fact be strong. Okay, so just keep that in mind that words can have all those different, those various connotations. And if you look here at this chart, um, down the middle, we have kind of something neutral, a neutral idea, and then we have positive on the left and negative on the right. So to look steadily at something, just look at somebody, right? You can gaze lovingly at somebody or something like that. That's very positive. Or you stare at somebody, right? Stop staring at me, right? Um, we can talk about the smell sensed by the olfactory nerve. The olfactory nerve is the one in your nose, right? That's just whatever you smell there. A fragrance, it's a good thing. What a lovely fragrance you're wearing. An odor, what is that odor in this place, right? And realize that, again, the denotation, the dictionary definition here is going to be the same for either one of these things, but one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. And so we can choose which word we want to use depending upon what idea we want to get across, right? To not be on time, I want to say it's positive. Oh, I was delayed. Well, that's okay. He was tardy, right? Did something bad. I was somewhat interested. You're curious. Oh, that's a good thing. No, you're nosy. Get out of my business. We can say being at a young age. I'm going to skip down here. Being at a young age, you can be youthful. I'd say so nice and youthful, or you can be immature. Obviously, that's going to be negative. So you can see that words can have ideas can have different connotations, right? They can be positive or negative, and we want to think about which ones we're choosing when we're going to be writing, and then when we look at the actual readings that we have, we can think about why specifically authors chose those particular words.